this is what it is. So
you
we don't
like it or you don't.
Yeah.
Look at the man fired all the people in the rose doing the work in the rose garden.
Well,
he didn't like something and he fired all of them because, oh my God.
Yeah, he's kind of an idiot, and the people who does follow him, the mega folks, all the mega folks, or as I like to say, the booty kissers.
Hello, and welcome back again, once again. Welcome back to the conversation. And I'm your host, Viola Washington.
And I'm Andrew Rhodes.
And we're here today just to continue to talk about what we talked about last week was the shutdown in the SNAP program. And we are going to continue to talk about that because we know pressure hikes. And we have been applying pressure on our governor by asking people to call your governor and say to him, stop stop it. Stop the shutdown. People need to eat. Let's cut all this craziness out. Open up the White House. Come on, let's go back home and do what we're supposed to do. And today we are still not completely open, but we do have them listening to us because, the governor, they're trying to find ways to work this out, so they say. They want to say that they're going to give the people who are mostly needed food, and others just going to have to, hey, wait out. But when you apply, I don't understand why he can say, or how did he say who's needed with food stamps and who's not. There's a eligibility requirement that you have to pass in order to get the stamps. So if I'm qualified, I'm eligible for these stamps, how can you say that I don't need them and you're going to decide that maybe perhaps you might need them more than I do? But we both were deemed eligible for these stamps. So I don't understand why I have to not eat and you can eat. The governor, he can't say that. He can't say he's going to feed his wife and his daughter not going to eat. He's not going to say that. So we can't do that either. We want everybody to eat. So we're saying open it up, all the way up. All the way up. We're coming into holidays. We're in November. We got Thanksgiving coming up. And we know in the Black community, we celebrate family at that time. And we cook and we eat. And we're not going to be able to do that this time. It's impossible to not feed people. I just can't see you having a heart not to feed people. When you're going to be sitting at your house eating turkey. And at my house, there's nothing. Come on. No. So, Andrew, I'm going to let you before I...
Well, ironically, that no one has looked at what this is going to do to our economy. And when I say, because we all belong to the economy, you have to realize that. And it's going to be money that's not spent during the holidays. The big boys, the Walmarts, the places where you go shopping at, they're not going to have that money from the consumers who own these, who are part of the SNAP program. Now, of course, they're shutting down flights, for the holidays.
Yes.
So
people are going to be unable to get from place to place to visit their loved ones as they usually do.
But again, but that's going to cost the airlines.
Yes.
It's going to cost. Now, you may be able to save some money. I simply say, when people don't do stuff the right, when you're shopping with them, shop somewhere else. Well, this is not actually that easy, but I simply say, if you have somewhere to go and it's driving distance, rent a car, take a train, go take a train. If you're, what they actually did this week was, I'm going to say here in Louisiana, because They put the benefits on the SNAP people, the SNAP recipients' card. They put the money
on the
on a
card,
card.
right?
And when the people went shopping and it was time for them to pay, they had stopped the program again.
Yeah,
You
you
know,
weren't
so
there. Yeah,
so
and you know how
it's
embarrassing that is,
yeah, it's
and I mean, and how tiresome that is. I mean, you spend all that time in this
in this
grocery,
grocery store, yeah.
suching food, trying to find a bargain price to
Mm,
purchase this, and then you make, and then you gotta can't. I mean, you get to
yeah,
the line, stand in line a long time,
yeah,
and all this, and you got your babies, and all, and so can you imagine how that can
right,
work and weigh on a person's mind?
right.
You know,
But you
just
also have to ask the question. The big question is why?
why?
Why is this happening?
Hmm.
Because for those of you that don't know, this is just a ploy to destroy President Obama's legacy.
Mhm.
Now you can throw whatever you else want out of there, but all the Republicans have to do is, well, let's get the government back up, and we'll talk about the Affordable Care Act, which was done which is Obamacare. So you have to realize, for that one reason, this is why the shutdown is about what it is, because they're like, oh, well, let's just open the government and we can talk about this later. No, let's talk about it now. We're talking about health care insurance, for people who can't afford health care. So if let's say it, the Republican get off their take off their white sheets and start saying that, oh, okay, well, let's just go ahead and approve what's going on with Obamacare, and the government will be open, because this is where the Democrats are standing strong at. You won't blame the Democrats, but when you can't afford insurance again, then who you gonna blame? You know, this is it's all about taking the legacy from a black president. So that's basically what this is all about. And you know, it's tiresome.
And it's not about lack of funds
No, no.
because in each state that have this welfare program and this SNAP program, there's some
Rainy.
money called the rainy day funds, and those funds are set aside for rainy days.
Yeah.
So they didn't have to stop the program and cause confusion the way they are doing now, because people thinking that they got food stamps, and then you tell them they're going back on for now and we're going to deal with them next month, but they still just so confused. The stamps are not there. I think the rainy day fund should have just, once we feel like the money was and the federal government was not going to do what they're supposed to do, then those rainy day funds should have kicked in right away.
Hmm.
So the program wouldn't have had to have the breakdown in it as it is now.
Well,
And
yeah.
just hearing, not cutting, but just hearing from other constituency and in other states, there's a problem all over. It's just not in Louisiana.
Right.
Louisiana might have uh, one of the smallest problem compared to
Hmm.
other states. People are suffering
And
already,
and that's what I was going to say, Vi.
frustrated.
I was going to, and I don't even have to talk about that because you already
Okay,
just
all
did
right.
it. You already did it. But if you got the funds, then what's the problem? You know,
So it must be something else, as you
yeah,
were saying.
yeah, because you can't pick and choose who gets them and who don't, or reduce them, because it's an amount that they qualify for. So everything that's out on the table, the people who apply, the people who get it, are the people who qualify
That's
for it.
right. And they
You
did
know,
nothing wrong. They gave you all the information that you needed to qualify.
And
So what's wrong now?
yeah, you know what's wrong, Vi? As I stated earlier, there it's about destroying his legacy. It's the people. No, I
And
don't.
I'm just honest, they get it? No king in
Yeah,
this United States, in this
right.
country, no kings. And Donald Trump is doing king-like things. You know,
Hmm.
he's doing king-like things, and it seems like people are accepting more than before. You know, it seems like people
Yeah,
are just settling. You know, like okay, if he ain't giving them no stamp next door, but I'm getting mine, so
yeah.
you know I'm okay. Why are we being that away?
Well,
You
yeah.
know,
It took two federal judges to say, Mr. Trump, feed the people, let them go, let the stamps go. Two federal judges.
mm-hmm.
And guess what? He's like, I'm bigger than the federal judges.
You
Even
can't go
though,
there.
even though they are the branch of the third branch, there's three branches in that we follow. So he then stepped over to that branch and
And
said,
create his own branch
and
of
create, yeah,
yeah.
it's like, I don't care what they say.
I, I,
I'm the president.
I create my own branch,
Yeah,
and this
so
is what it is.
this is what it is. So
You
we're going,
like it or you don't.
yeah,
Look at the man fired all the people in the rose doing the work in the rose garden.
well,
He didn't like he didn't like something, and he fired all of them because oh my God,
yeah, you know, he's kind of an idiot, and the people who does follow him, the
worse,
mega folk, yeah, all the mega folks,
still worse.
or as I like to say, the booty kissers.
Mm-hmm.
This is what happens when you have a person who wants to be a dictator and run the country on what he believes. Not only a dictator, but a racist dictator.
Right.
Because we got to remember, I saw a clip today where he said, wow, and it kind of blew me out. It made me angry enough to punch my screen,
Mm-hmm.
but that it is, the reason black children are the way they are is because they inherit it. They inherit the violence. The reason they fill the jails because they inherit it,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, wow, boy, this man is really, really, really going off so we born children, and I'm talking about us as African Americans, to be criminals. That's what he said. We, and
Inherited.
it's inherited,
Yeah.
so I want y'all to think about that. And, because I know better. Think I know better. I think Linda know better. You know,
And
crime happens for a lot of reasons, but it ain't because it is inherited, and it's more inherited on their side, because they not started with the Klan, but they started with
yeah,
slavery.
because this is what I want to say. I can agree
Mm-hmm.
and I can disagree with the inheritance because we inherit their bad ways.
Well, yeah.
We inherit the bad ways that they inflict upon us.
Mm-hmm.
So you're right in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
It is it's not a birth inheritance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know,
Well, yeah. Mm-hmm. I
it was
understand.
made just like slavery was not like people was not slaves. It was enslaved. You
Right.
know, that's a different because I could agree and disagree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, like I
There's
say,
some
by
funky
my
ways.
my whole thing from it is when you're not in charge and you're dealing with the slave master, yeah, those things can happen because what happens if I'm free?
Mm-hmm.
You know, then I will look at who raised me to be who I am.
Mm-hmm.
So it's generational,
Mm-hmm.
but I guess my point is that's not how we raise our children. We raise our children to be productive, you know, and we got, or even back
and
then.
fight through
Hmm.
all the racism
And exactly,
and to make it happen. You
but
know,
but yet
that
racism,
we see and that we don't see, we are still fighting today.
because we have been fighting since slavery. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
I I I read something today, and I just I get a lot of my information offline. There was this guy, print it out and show you guys. He had 7 different slave owners, and just by coincidence, all 7 of them died. Everybody they sold this guy to,
Mm-hmm.
his slave owners died.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. He had seven owners.
He had 7 people that owned him, and all the slave owners died. Now, I'm simply saying, well, this was a black man fighting for his freedom,
Right.
and again, you can believe that Emancipation Proclamation and all of that craziness about Lincoln, but slave owners started
And
dying.
out of all of those slave owners that died, he didn't receive anything from that. Just
Yeah,
that he was probably so happy
he was fighting for his freedom, right?
that they died,
Yeah,
and I now have my
yeah. So,
freedom.
and I tell you what, we not gonna be recaptured, so you can forget
No,
about that. You can
like
forget about that.
like Malcolm said, I blow my own head up.
But
Oh no,
this
oh
is
no.
this is what this is all about. We're gonna make America great again and all of that because for us it ain't never been
And another thing,
great.
excuse me, that I have to say is that we was captured by the word. We was told what you couldn't do and what God didn't like when you did certain things that was against the white man. God didn't like that. So you had to not do these things against them.
No.
So parents stopped teaching the truth about the white man because history had just changed. It was all lies. And so we had to follow that, and that's the legacy that we gave our children. That was passed down to us
Mhm.
is to respect them white people. You stay out of trouble, stay out of jail, stuff like that. And you go to church on Sunday and you listen to older people pray and preach, but never really told you stories from the Bible, really how it works. So
Mhm.
younger people grew up fearing the Bible, fearing God, and running from the devil. And they found that the church was not the wheels that was going to lead them
Mhm.
where they need to go. So they look at their older parents and what has happened to them, and they just don't go. I just believe that's
Mhm.
one of the reasons I don't think that we are teaching them what
Mhm.
they need to know about building God's kingdom. You know,
Yeah.
God, there's a special way and special kind of people that's supposed to build God's kingdom. And I don't think it's being taught because what I see in the churches a lot now is power. It's the power. It's the
Mhm.
power. It's the power. And that's not of all churches because there's never, you know, you don't blanket anything. I'm just saying allow churches. And more than needs to be doing that. So I
Mhm.
don't think young people see that they have a chance by learning about
Mhm.
God and their way from the church.
I'm gonna, and again, I'm gonna say this because I learned a lot of information from where I am now to when I grew up, and a lot of the because we've heard the pastor, we've had him on TV, and they said, it's an interpretation when you get stuff out of the Bible. We got to remember that in that time, we was uh, praying to a white Jesus, back during slavery time. And that has followed through till even today. Remember that the stuff we got, because there were white angels, and Muhammad Ali said this, there were white angels. There's, everything that's white was good and everything that's black was bad.
Right.
So this is what we learned coming up, that Jesus was blue. The Bible even says he wasn't, but he was blue eyed and straight hair. So, you know, make your own interpretation of what you think God presents for us because it's in our heart, and that's where God is. When we do good things for people, that's because we were taught differently. You know, we didn't put people in bondage, you know, but that's what was taught to, white folks back then. We don't hurt people by not letting them eat. That ain't got nothing to do with us. That's got to do with the people who are in control who don't look like us, because they think that they're hurting us, but they're also hurting them because they got a lot of people who don't look like us that gets this SNAP program, So be careful on what your lineage regarding religion may be because it was a misconcept when it started when we got over here.
Yeah.
Now I'm not saying religion is bad. I'm saying the people who originally taught us, that their idea was to keep them in power.
And the idea that pull the religion together, the idea that's continuing to grow and just continue to grow and becoming more and more corrupt.
Yeah.
More and more corrupt. The love, not the power of love. When we feel that and use the power of love, all live in a good place. But because we living under the love of power, and he who gets the power control.
Yeah. I just wanted to get that in.
So we just gotta unlearn so many things. We have to unlearn so many things, and I know it's hard to unlearn things, especially when you have learned them and you know how to work it, you know how to do them, you know how to fix them, twist them, turn them, all this stuff. But you have learned their way. But like they say, I always say what happened to Johnny Cochran. They say Johnny Cochran learned all about the legal system and he worked it. He freed O.J. Simpson, a black man who was so famous once when he was making all that money for the white man. He was so famous, nothing could touch him. He could run through the airport and jump over suitcases and catch his plane and all this good stuff. But Johnny Cochran freed him. He wasn't supposed to be freed. It was supposed to be it for him. Broke him down, took all his money, and locked him in jail. And that's where he was supposed to die at, right there. But Johnny Cochran freed him. And once you beat the law, find out how it works, then they'll change it on. They'll change it so that you have a hard time of learning how to do it again. But we have opportunities now to learn their way. Their way. I remember older people used to say they didn't want their children going away to college. Because once you allow for your children to go away to college, the system changed them. They come back and don't know how to accept the old country parents. again, you know, because the system have taught them away from themselves, that miseducation. And then we are so proud of it now. And like I remember a man said to me one time, you know, black folks have more degrees than a thermometer. And where are we? Does it matter? You know, we have to look at what it is that we supposed to be doing to build God's kingdom. That's where all your degrees and all those things are. Because I remember a time when a pastor didn't even have to have a degree. He just work in the community and do what was right. Become a pastor of a church. And pastor people to talk about the condition of the community each Sunday that you attend service. And then they preach. But it got sophisticated and all that don't take place no more. You know, just money, money, money. In many of them. I'm not blanking all churches because I know how these pastors feel about their church. I'm not blanking these churches. I'm just saying, if the shoe fit, wear it. That's all I'm saying. And Andrew, I'm gonna let you have the last word because we're getting ready to close. We're not gonna stay too long in the community doing this conversation. But we want the people to know that the conversation is open in the community. Just stop by and sit with us. We have this conversation with you.
Well, the last thing is I just want to say I hope you guys listen and you can listen to our program, our podcast, and that, I'm not exactly sure that everything we say is right, but we're not about destroying uh, communities, not just ours or any. We feel that everybody has a right to live freely.
And we do research the work before we talk about it.
Yeah.
We do research our work. We are pretty much scientific, right? About what we're saying. You can check us out though.
Yeah.
So
continue to watch us, and hopefully we can get some more folks on board, who have some opinions, and you guys can send it to us, and we can talk about those things because this is a conversation. That's all it is.
And if you want to reach us, you can call us at area code 504-338-05. And I'm asking to produce the right number, 338-9205. Yes, 338-9205. Area code 504. Call us and leave a message or your comments. Thank you.
Thank you.